but if you look at the heroes they have poison and Enchantress creeps can last for a long time. So the Grave might not necessarily mean that the Leshrac is going to be safe for sure.
Whenever I see an Enchantress, I always consider the option of running an aggressive dual lane with a roaming support and Enchantress. And then, if you look at Secret's lineup, if they were to do that and they expect it to be a core Shaker, they would play Clock versus Shaker, which I think is a favorable matchup for Clock, by quite a bit actually, if he plays it well. And Zai is a very adept Clock player. And then the off lane they could put would be an aggressive dual lane with Gyro plus the roaming Enchantress threat of Puppey. And I think in the super early game, Enchantress actually matches up really well against Dazzle, because Dazzle is about sustaining multiple heroes at once with the Shadow Wave, and the Enchantress can just keep taking creeps and just draining all his mana with either a mana burn creep first off, or just getting multiple creeps and just keep running them in and harassing a lot and putting pressure on the AM that way.
I think it's really good in theory, but the problem is LGD can just sit at their jungle at the start, and their level 1 is like really, really strong. And that's
Puppey doesn't have to start in the enemy jungle.
Yeah.
You can start in his own and then smoke up there after like getting 2 creeps. It takes 30 seconds and then you can go.
Do you think Witch Doctor would be good for that matter with the Anch roaming, or the Witch Doctor plus Gyro together on the off lane? Do you think that could actually work?
They don't have any solution for the anti-mage, I would say, like no disables. No
so Lion would probably be better in that sense?
That makes their lane pretty weak.
Okay, this is
now
like
they could still be aggressing with this actually.
This is like the greediest possible pickup they can have here in this situation. They have both the supports that want to farm a lot. Like obviously Enchantress can gank early, but she can choose to farm as well. So maybe they would be, I think they might actually be just defensive defensive dual laning with the Gyro and the Visage. You just get farm on greedy support like Visage instead of trying to do so much. Like I mentioned before, when the enemy has anti-mage, there's 2 ways to go about it. Either you challenge the anti-mage, or you pick something that is greedy in that sense that you get something in return instead of just letting him farm. So I would view Visage as a good greedy sort of support to trade farm with anti-mage.
Okay, and then the Witch Doctor flipping over to LGD's side.
This looks like a pick targeted at
the creeps?
Dealing with Enchantress creeps early on with the cask, 5-second stun bounces on them, and in addition to that, it's a pretty decent matchup against Clockwork. When he hooks in, generally there's some sort of follow-up. Maybe you can get a cask bounce over to a follow-up hero, and if you can't, you can at least just plop down the Death Ward and it will get rid of Clockwork while he's in his cogs. Obviously, Blade Mail does not reflect Death Ward damage onto the hero using the Death Ward, so I think this is a pretty solid pick. The cast can actually also bounce off the familiars. I do believe it doesn't stun them anymore. Like, the familiars have been really weird in Dota 2 over the last couple of years, but they're pretty streamlined now. But it's still, they can carry the stun for you,
right? Which
can be nice.
I think they have to be really careful about protecting Leshrac, though. If Leshrac like falls apart in this, I think anti-mage will get farm like regardless. I don't think they have the tools necessary to shut down his farm. But if Leshrac gets under farm, it's going to be easy going for Secret. So shall wait. They have to sit there.
All right, well, Game 2 has started, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see if LGD can tie it up or if Secret are going to lead Group A with 13 points.
Do it after the beginning of the laning stage.
Yeah. I like LGD's drop better this game than what Secret had pulled out, but I mean, it's Secret. They have a plan, and it's, to me, going to be more late game oriented than last game in a lot of ways, where they can't really end this game that quickly unless they really snowball out of control. And now TZ's Gyrocopter does that a lot. It finds a tons of kills, then just gets completely out of control if he can move around the map. But they haven't really got... I guess Clockwork's going to be the hero to kind of pair up with him and lead the way with those hookshot initiations. So could see Secret with a quick win here, but I just don't think it's likely. I think this one is going to be going to the late game, and Secret are trying to pick heroes that they feel can maybe handle the anti-mage in a late game setting.
Well, let's see if that's the case. Welcome in everybody from the live stream, and thanks for tuning in to everybody on Dota TV. It's LGD versus Secret. Game number 2. Secret, with the win here, would catapult themselves into a very decisive first place in Group A. They'd have 13 points, and maybe not 100% mathematically guaranteed, but very likely to take the group, and with that have their choice of opponent in the winner's bracket round 1 at the main event in Key Arena. It's the International 2015, day 3 of the group stage. Today is where so much is decided for many of the teams, a lot on the line, and with that, the bounty runes spawn, S4 grabs one, maybe the other, and we get ourselves underway with what promises to be a really exciting matchup.
Yeah, Game 1 delivered. 30 minutes of back and forth, just nail-biting Dota as far as who was going to take it, and everything just kind of blew up for LGD in the span of about 2 minutes' time, but we'll see if they can remain composed here going into Game 2. They've gone for the anti-mage, they've also been given Leshrac, and this is going to be I'm trying to talk about slightly LGD favored draft perhaps, but it's going to come down so much to the early game rotations and pressure that Puppey can put out on Enchantress.
Our mid lane, Leshrac versus Queen of Pain 1v1, something you see a lot of in pubs, but have not seen very much of here at the International thus far, as normally that Leshrac is banned out. And oftentimes the Queen of Pain even ends up in the side lane here for a lot of teams. It will be the off-lane shaker for Yao. He'll try to get his early levels. Bakuro focusing on the zoning here. Zai also trying to get his own experience, but having a slightly easier time of it. Both heroes just blocking the creep waves back early. You see the fissure comes out. They're going to do whatever they can to just get those early levels. But the X factor, as we talked about during the draft guides, it's really going to be Puppey on the Enchantress. Very defensive draft for LGD because of the cores as well as the types of supports they've picked, which allows Secret to get away with an Enchantress. And even with a slightly greedier support in Kuroki's Visage, who later on normally is going to be given a lot of farm priority.
Yeah. Defensive, but very much complements the anti-mage pick, and we're going to see...
It's a trade-off. You let Secret have their jungle, you let them have a greedier 4-position support or 5-position, but you make up for it or look to with the anti-mage.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Mid lane, S4, solo killed by maybe, just got stunned. He started with the level 1 stun, and he threw it from the high ground and just started chipping away with auto attacks. And then he finally falls prey. I think that was the 3rd stun in a row that maybe had hit on him.
This guy's laning's insane. I was like watching him for the first two to three creep waves, and he was just... His last hitting and harass on the S4 was nuts.
We saw this versus Mushi as well. Now, if I recall correctly, that was a more disadvantaged matchup for... No, actually, it was Razor versus Queen of Pain versus Fnatic, where S4 died twice solo. Normally, S4 is known for doing very well on the laning stage, but maybe catching him all completely off guard, and not only with the first Blood Gods. He's 11-2. S4 even has a hill ward, so he knows that there's nobody in the neighborhood. He knows he can play as aggressive as he pleases in this mid lane, and well, the power of Leshrac in play here. This lane gets ugly from here. He's got a regen room bottle. Actually, the dream start for Leshrac. It doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah, it's this is going to be a sad lane for Queen of Pain. Puppey can consider ganking, but at some point it's going to be really difficult once Leshrac gets boots out, unless you get the right creep combination. It's a very high risk gank, and if you go for that gank and it doesn't actually work, you're wasting a lot of time where you can be jungling and getting other stuff done. So I'm not sure if Puppey's going to take that risk and go for the gank. Not to mention Zhao 8, where he's positioned on the Witch Doctor here above the mid lane, is entirely to stop a smoke gank from Enchantress. He's happy just to go back and forth from this position to stack in the jungle to protect Leshrac from Enchantress.
And speaking of that jungle, look at the start Puppey's had. He found an early wildkin. He has been just turbo farming, level 4.5 at 3 minutes. Basically the level that you'll get from almost a perfectly executed Enigma jungle. Maybe you're 5 at this point, but this is about as fast as it gets. So Secret are still getting a lot elsewhere on the map, but with that kill and the great start he's had, we do see a gold lead developing here for LGD. The experience, though, is going Secret's way. Still pretty even and still very early, but it is a free farm anti-mage. The gyrocopter of Arteezy a bit behind in the CS, mildly so.
Yep.
Offlaners getting similar experience, a little more to Zai. Close now, and I think that's where it really highlights what you bring up with the Witch Doctor. Like, that's the big thing that could screw up LGD here. Zai getting caught in the river, though, and there's the initial lightning to come out. Do they have a follow-up slow? They do. MMY takes the point in Poison Touch. Normally don't see this early. Could cost Zai his life. It will. The low cooldown lightning spam chews through his armor, and Kuroki unable to assist despite the haste turn he found bottom. It's almost feeling like they need that Puppey gank sooner rather than later.
So far, he's made the right decision not to gank. Because if he would have gone for that gank, it would have failed. It would have been a waste of time. So it's very much just been LGD. They're playing very refined Dota. They had the Witch Doctor protecting mid, and now when Witch Doctor goes off to kind of help out the top lane or stack some more Earthshakers there now, they realize the one big way for Secret to turn this game around is a gank on Leshrac, and they're just entirely disallowing that. And I think Puppey's respecting it. He's just jungle farming. Like, he hasn't had any impact on this game, but he's making the most out of the bad situation by just farming.
Oh, S4, he wanted to blink. The stun missed time by maybe. Could have popped it a bit sooner there. Would have been another kill on S4. Oh, he's just lucky to get out of there. Still no boots. 14 CS to the 31 of the enemy Lesh, but some wasted time there for Yao, and maybe chewing through a lot of his own mana. He'll sell the Salve here, buys the Arcane Boots. That's going to top off Yao nicely, and maybe we'll go back to the mid lane. That could have put this game really out of control for LGD, but They're able to dodge a bullet. Do want to point out, Xiao8 has been calmly stacking up the woods. Maybe he's looking to farm it now. He'll start spamming lightning. The cast comes out, and this will give Xiao8 his levels because he's just been camping mid, as you pointed out, and he was not getting much experience early, but all of a sudden, almost level 3. One creep wave away or so.
Rocket Flare scouts it out, but it's too late, so...
I like how they farm it quickly this time. After last game, Secret 5-manning their big stack. No chance LGD is going to give that type of free economy up this time around.
Yeah. Now, one of the problems Secret may run into is that both Enchantress and Visage are kind of supports that one farm. You don't have like the Kuro Rubik or something else that can be more of a 5 position, allowing Puppey to go for just Midas and playing greedy. And he may so well go for the Midas, but these are two supports who can benefit a lot from getting farm. Visage wants the Medallion into the Aghanim Scepter. Similar story with the Enchantress where you want a Midas Aghanim Scepter. So for now, Puppey's getting plenty of farm in the jungle. Kuro hasn't been able to get too much, apart from pull camps. But we'll have to see if they give Kuro any space or if he's just going to be like not farming an Ag Scepter any time this game. Because at best, he may get a Medallion unless he's given a lane and some farm this game.
It's actually LGD who choose to buy a smoke here. We mentioned very strong defensively, but this is really the beauty of heroes like Earthshaker especially, where they can also play offense if they need to. S4, again, the fissure combinations. This is why we see Earthshaker second picked in so many games. It's not just LGD and Secret that often prioritize this hero. It feels like it's almost every team. If they get that strong mid laner, a Queen of Pain, a Shadow Fiend, a Leshrac, probably even the best partner in the game right now, you have so many options. Whether he plays offlane or support, you can just always go for those picks. And if you're the ones on the back foot, you've got the defensive disengage. LGD off to a hot start here, and maybe after the solo kill, showing off his individual talent. They even get eyes on the Secret Ancients. Last game, it was Secret who kind of shut down LGD's own farm in the jungle, but it seems it may go the other way there, too. LGD, with a lead, not going to sit on it. They want to keep on applying pressure and look to expand it.
Yeah, I think the turnaround potential for Secret at this point doesn't come from Enchantress ganks, but TP rotations from Arteezy. His Gyrocopter is the one who can turn fights around and dish out more damage than anyone on this Radiant side. Hold down and Rocket Barrage.
But he's not going for the ganking build here. No drums. He's got the Aquila, but he's going into Dominator.
Yeah,
a sign that he wants to focus on farm. And, I mean, to be fair, this is a difference between Arteezy and I think the best example that we've seen a lot of, at least you and I in this tournament, Aggressive, where he always goes for like your phase, drums, just run around the map, TP smoke gank, more of a ganking gyro, but that's not really the Arteezy way. He likes to farm, and he is going to focus on it here.
Maybe Secret deciding this early mid game is not going to go well. They go for a kill on bottom, yeah.
They look for it with the call down on Xiao8. Soul Assumption coming through, not enough. Stick and heal up, and now the rotation. Maybe he tries to find Arteezy. He's a bit slow without the phase boots. That's a devastating kill, and he's going to grab it. A dominating streak. He looks for Kuro as well. Don't think he'll be quite in range here. They don't have a follow-up to that initial lightning slow. He will make it out. Well, if you're going for the Dominator, you cannot afford to die like that. And meanwhile, Sylar happily slicing creeps top lane. Very fast Battle Fury timing in the offing. The Bloodstone will begin construction here for maybe Leshrac. Still haven't seen the Enchantress really find any openings. Just farming. Now even going into a Midas, it looks like, for Puppey, potentially. Could have bought his treads if he wanted them. Secret are really rolling the dice on the farm game right now.
Yeah. Rolling the dice, but they're quickly running out of dice here because I think it's the only one they've got left as far as options go. They've got a huge Leshrac problem. When the Lesh gets this big, there's just no real way you can fight into it unless you want to overcommit like your entire lineup. You have to use Sonic Wave. You need the Gyrocopter to be coming in. At that point, you're getting heavily outfarmed.
Gods, they have a hill ward mid, and they just rocketed the trees where LGD smoked only 5-10 seconds before, but they missed it, and they might get completely backstabbed here. Yeah.